Hi guys, well today we're going to be giving the van a little bit of spark. And no, we're not talking about spark plugs. For all you old-timey mechanics out there, you probably know what I'm talking about, but for the rest of us, we're going to be doing what is called the cap and the rotor. Stick around. Alright, so here it is. Here's the cap. This is a distributor cap. It goes over the distributor and it helps to distribute the spark. And I don't know, the lighting's terrible, but it's got these little connectors inside here. And here's the rotor. And it goes around and around inside of it and does something with the spark too. I don't really know exactly what it does, but this is what we're putting on the van today. Okay guys, first off, a little disclaimer. I am not an auto mechanic, just so you guys know. Of course, I'm sure you figured that out by now, but this is how I do stuff. This by no means means that this is the only way to do it. This is probably not even the proper way to do it, but this is what has always worked for me. This is what's working for me for right now, so I cannot stress enough when I show these videos that, yes, this is how I do it. This may or may not be the proper way to do things. So there you go. I'm just hoping to be a little bit of guidance and maybe give some of you all out there that are kind of scared to do it a little bit of confidence, but by no means am I an auto mechanic or an expert. Okay, just so you know. Okay, so the first step in this process is to get this unit off right here, which is called the doghouse or the engine cover. Most people in the van community call it a doghouse because it kind of resembles one of those igloo dog houses when you take it off. And I'm showing this because I want to show all the ladies out there a tip, because we're not strong enough when it comes to, you know, finger or hand strength sometimes. And this is the first van I've actually had that was like this. Most of them have like little tabby things, like plastic tabby things that you could actually hold on to pull the doghouse buckle off easier, but this one doesn't. So what I have been doing, and it seems to work pretty good, is just taking any kind of screwdriver and flipping it up like that. Did you see that? Let's see if I can do it again. They're easy enough to buckle down, but actually to get it up, my fingers are just not strong enough. So again, I just push it up like that and just pry it off, and it comes right off. So I just wanted to put that in there for anybody that doesn't have the hand strength for whatever reason, or like I said, most of us ladies out there, if you ever need to get your doghouse off and you have a buckle like this, just stick a screwdriver under there. It's way easier. Okay, so it's been about 20 years since I've even replaced one of these, and when I did it, I actually had help. So I'm trying to go from memory and from common sense. But what I did, just in case, was I took a picture, and see, this is the old cap right here, and these are the spark plug wire ends that go to it. And you have to get them on in the right sequence, otherwise it can mess stuff up. And you have to also know exactly which way to put the cap on. So that's why I took a picture of it, so that I would have a point of reference. Just a little tip for you guys, but just take note of every piece of it before you decide to take it apart, so that you basically have a roadmap, I guess, as to where these things go. Okay, so as you can see, there's pretty much only one way that you could put this thing on. There's actually like a little reference number. That's your cylinder number 1. My only problem is I don't know what's, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, So, yeah, and then the screws, they got to line up. So there's only, you could accidentally flip it over upside down, which would be wrong. But in the case of my van, this black thingy has to go towards the bottom, so you can actually see which way this part goes on. Your only complication is going to be your wires, and like I say, just make a point of reference when you do this, so that you know which wire goes where. That's just the biggest thing I can't stress enough, because it will make your engine fire the wrong way, if that makes any sense. Okay, Okay, pretty much the only tool I'm going to need for this job is a screwdriver. You know, and in this case, it's a Phillips. Some of these caps that I've had in cars of the past weren't even screwed on. They had these like metal clip things. And in that case, you just need a flathead screwdriver just to pop them off. But this one, we're going to have to take the screwdriver and actually like unscrew them. And possibly, you know, use it to help me pop off the wire things on the top. I don't think that's going to be an issue though. I've never had any problems doing those kind of things before. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. But yeah, mostly pretty much all you're going to need, besides if you want to, a pair of gloves, is a Phillips head screwdriver. Another safety tip, you guys, just make sure that your battery negative terminal cable is disconnected before you do anything that has to do with electrical. It may not be an issue, it may be okay. Some people might say, oh, don't worry about it, but just in case, you don't want to short anything out, so just disconnect your battery cable first before you do anything that has to do with electrical stuff. Okay, so what I am going to do first, because it makes sense to me, this may not be the way you're supposed to do it, but I couldn't find anything in my book about it. It just says replace it as needed, so but I'm going to take my Phillips head screwdriver and I'm going to go down to the little screws and I'm going to unscrew the old one from its little spot here. And don't worry about losing the screws because they're kind of made so that they can't come out of it. At least on the new one it is. But if you lose one, at least you got the new ones coming with the new one. And it seems to be coming out pretty easy. And so I'm just going to unscrew both of them. And what I'm trying to do is at every step of the way make sure that I have the wires in the right place. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing it this way first. So I'm just going to, now the problem is too, I've got this little wiring harness here that might be in the way. So this might prove to be kind of difficult. So what I want to do is I just want to remove the cap. I don't want to take any of the wires off yet, if at all possible. What I'm going to attempt to do is to replace the rotor first. Because if I remember right, now I haven't done this in a long time, guys, so we're going to be learning this together. If I remember right, you could put the rotor is separate and it's down inside here on the distributor somehow. So what I want to do is I want to take this off and replace the rotor first so that the wires are still intact so I can see where they are at all times. Because I'm not the expert mechanic. I haven't done this 100 times in my life, and most likely you guys aren't either. And so it's just a good rule of thumb to try to keep stuff, you know, kind of together, and you know, and to use it as a point of reference for as long as possible. Now you see this little guy here, he's in the way. If I was to take more of the wires off, I'd probably be able to get to it. So I'm going to have to kind of lift it up as much as I can here and see what I've got here. Okay, that little dude's got to stay there. It doesn't look too bad under here so far. Okay, so unfortunately what I have is a situation where this wire here is keeping it on. So I'm probably going to have to remove this little guy here real quick, just so that I can get it off possibly, or these other two here, which is gonna suck because I don't want to lose my point of reference. So well, we'll just have to see here. So what I'll have to do, because what I wanted to do is take it off completely, replace the rotor, and then put it all back together. But I don't know if I can do that unless I unhook all this stuff. And I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know how good this connection is. I might just have to do that. And I don't see. Yeah, I don't think that's going to like me if I do that. I don't even know if you guys could see what I'm talking about. Yeah, see, I don't want to disconnect that. I don't think that's supposed to come undone. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm not going to totally attach it, but this wire goes here. right? And then this wire, because this is the only way I can get it off. That wire is number 1. This wire goes here, right? It's hard to see because I'm dyslexic too, guys, so this is not exactly easy for me to remember. Okay, so that wire goes there. And this wire, I can get it off. Maybe I should have done this before I unscrewed it. I was hoping I could just get it off and then not have to worry about that. And then that goes there. And then this wire, that wire goes on that one. You see how I'm trying to keep my point of reference, you guys? That's my point. Okay, so I know where that one's gonna go. Here, he goes here. This is very, very important to me because I don't want to mess this up. You guys, you got to remember that this has got to go a certain way. Ooh, yeah. See? Now my cap might have been okay, but this rotor is not. And it's good if you're going to replace the cap, because this is a bunch of BS right now. You got to get in here anyway. You might as well replace the... If you're going to replace the rotor, then you might as well replace the cap too. And the cap's not that much more money. I think the cap was like 15 or... I think it was not even 15 bucks, and then this rotor is 8. And these are the good ones too. Okay, it cost extra money. So that way at least I know which wires go where. But I want to show you guys this, and hopefully it'll come off because it might be stuck. Nope, there it goes. See, it's so easy. Once you get in there, it's easy. See, I did this before on one of my Z cars that I had. But look at that. That's bad. It shouldn't look like that. It's just, it's almost dead there. It doesn't have any more contact anymore. It's just all this weird magnetic, weird junky stuff too on here. This can interfere with your spark. And then the rotor on the inside too is not looking too good. I mean, the cap on the inside is not looking too good either. It's a little dirty too. But it was mainly, I think it was this thing. I hope it's in frame. But mainly it was this part, I think, that was failing. So that is probably part of my culprit right there, because this whole thing, all the sensors, the ignition switch that I replaced, this guy and the spark plugs, and, you know, hopefully the coil is okay, but I think it is, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to start it at all at this point. But all this stuff is your spark, it's your ignition. And ignition means spark, and if you don't have that, then your internal combustion engine, which is basically fire, is not going to catch on fire enough to go anywhere. It's basically a bunch of mini explosions, and if you don't have the right amount of spark in the right order, in the right timing, and in the right area, it's not going to do anything. Your engine's just going to go. So, yeah, this is very important. It's maintenance that you need to do. I don't know how many miles you have to do it. It's not every 3,000 miles like it used to be. With a lot of these parts, and it's not, you know, it's just weird. It's just, you know, I've never really found any information on how often you're supposed to replace this stuff, but it's a good thing to check it. I do know some vehicles, depending on what kind of spark plugs you have, you know, you have to replace them every 50 to 100,000 miles. Even the really good, you know, plugs that you get, those expensive uranium ones, I guess is what they're called. You're supposed to do it at least every 100 to 150,000 miles. They're the longest lasting ones. But knowing the guy that I bought this from, he's probably got the cheap copper plugs in here. So that's probably going to be my next project, is to replace all those too. I just wanted to try this first and see, because it was the cheapest option. And it looks like it is more than likely the biggest culprit of my problems here. Besides my dirty filter, it was. So I'm just gonna wipe it out in here, because it's kind of, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's kind of dirty in there. So I'm just gonna take another shop rag and just kind of dust it a little. I don't want any silicone or anything weird in there. Kind of blow it out maybe. If I had a blower, I'd just blow it out and get it cleaner. But yeah, it's got some weird like plastic debris from the cap and all that kind of stuff. And like I say, if I was a mechanic, I could have done this in 5 minutes. Maybe 7 trying to make a video. But I'm not a mechanic, and I'm really scared to take some stuff apart if I don't have a good point of reference. Okay, so now this rotor, it's really easy to put on. And like I said, I've done this on other cars before. And my 240Z that I had that had the dual carburetor, I had one of the first 240Zs. That thing was awesome. But its cap had like just the little clippies on it. My other Z car did too, and a couple other cars I had. But the rotor thing is always the same. And some of your really newer cars, I don't even think have this system anymore. I think this is pretty archaic. It's pretty old. This is not something that they possibly even put on newer cars as far as I know, because they've actually fixed it to where we don't need all this stuff, because this is kind of extra now. But there's actually like a slot that's inside of this hole. I don't think you guys can see that in the frame, but there's actually like this little slot in, I mean a little it's not a slot, it's like a thing that sticks out in there. I don't even know what the word is for it. Like it, yeah, but then there's a slot on here on this part, and all you need to do is just line it up with that, and that part's easy. That's just perfect. You just stick it right on there and it goes. So we're going to do that right now. And this video is going to be really long, but I know you ladies out there especially are going to appreciate this, so I'm going to leave it in here. I want you guys to see that this is, you know, not a big deal, but at the same time it kind of is. So yeah, you just kind of push it in there, if it'll go. And I think that's probably as far down as it'll go. Doesn't have very far to go. You can always lift it out and check it like I just did. Okay, I guess it's in there. I guess that's where it's going to go. I guess we'll find out when we try to put the cap back on. Okay, so now I have these wires. Remember, they've got to go around this wire. So before I even put the rest of the wires on, I'm leaving this old cap on here. Now remember, these wires are still attached because I want to know where they go. Okay. And remember, this is your #1 cylinder right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it one at a time here, or, you know, however I can do it here. And try to put it up here very gently. Luckily, I disconnected the battery, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to put them right back on where I got them before I forget. Now, I always have a picture to look at, you know, but still, you just don't know sometimes how your brain's going to remember stuff. And get it lined up with the little screw holes right here. And that's all you need to do. It's actually pretty self-explanatory. You know, it's just certain wires, like I say, it's hard to remember because they're like a jumbled mess. Now my #1, it doesn't quite want to go down. And you see how it gets bound up right here? That's why it was behind this wire. Because see, I was hoping that I wouldn't have to do that. But I'm going to have to do it like it was before and put it back behind this wire. But see, I didn't lose my point of reference. And this wire didn't even have to move back off at all. Okay? And that's just a tip. That's just the way I do things. You don't have to do it this way. But if you're like me and you're really nervous about losing your point of reference on something like this, that's just, you got to do it one little kind of inch at a time. And so now I'm going to put this guy here back behind this wire and back on his little #1 spot. And I like that they mark it #1. It's just for you know, mechanically challenged people like me. Maybe they should put all the numbers on it, and then they should number them all, like everywhere. But they don't, because most people that do this are not me. Okay, and so what I'm going to do, just to make it a little bit easier for me, is I'm going to tighten down the nuts here, or the screws, just so it doesn't flop around on me when I put the rest of the wires on. But see how now, because I've got it still like this, I can see where they go. And so I'll just do them one at a time until I get them all on there, and then ta-da! Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to tighten it up a little bit. And I'm probably going to edit a little bit of this, but not much. And just kind of hold it and just do a little bit on each side, a little bit each. This is a plastic part. And you want to make sure you got it in the right area there. There you go. A little bit at a time here. This little guy, it feels a little tighter. That's another thing I forgot to mention too. When you get these new caps, sometimes they've got little shavings of plastic on them inside of where the screw hole, where the screws are. And just, you know, just to be on the safe side, just make sure you clean those out of there, because they can cause trouble when you're trying to put it back on, put the new one on. You know, and you don't want that kind of stuff floating around your engine compartment either. Little pieces of plastic debris. It probably won't hurt anything. It'll probably melt, but you know, you never know. You just don't want that. Just to be on the safe side. Now, like I say, this is normally for most people a 5-minute job, but I'm me. All right, so now I've got this in here and it's not going anywhere. And see, it's I don't know if you can see that, but it's still kind of lined up the same way. Okay. Yeah, this is the girl way to do it. So all you guys out there laughing, that's fine. You can laugh. But us ladies, this is kind of stuff we got to do, because we don't do this all the time. Now I'm going to take this one because it's over the top of this one. And I am going to, yeah, that may or may not work. Maybe I will have to take this one first, the middle one. Put the middle one on. Okay, here's the middle one. You go on like this. And you might have to fiddle with these things too, because, you know, this is an awkward way of doing it. And now I'm going to take this guy here that was over the top. And it's that one. It goes on that one. This next one here. Now, I hope you guys are seeing all this stuff. Oh, sometimes they're hard to come off because they've been on there in a long time. And I like the new one that I got better. I got a better quality one. This one also has a limited lifetime warranty. Just stick it on there. And you want to smash them on really good. Make sure that they're really good and tight on there to get a good connection. Okay, and so this next one is going next to the number 1. That's the middle one, and that's the number 1. So this is going next to this little guy here. Come off, guy. There we go. This is basically like giving your van a tune-up. Not quite. It's kind of hillbilly style. Okay, we got that one. Now we just have the 2 left, you know, and they're easy. And it's one that's right and one that's left. So here's the right one. Come on now. Now this is easier when you've only got 6 cylinders or 4 cylinders. All right. To remember, and that's the last one. Now, I think I got it hooked up right. Because, like I say, I didn't take it completely apart. I watched what I was doing, and I basically left it together as much as possible while still being able to replace the new parts. And so for people like me that don't know, you know, much about cars, this is a good way to do it. The next test is we got to put the battery back on and we got to start it up and see what it does. Hopefully I didn't ruin it. But I think I got it on there okay. All right, you guys, let's start it up, see what it does. Woo! Alright. Sounds a lot better too. That might have been a lot of my problem right there. Alright. I want to show you guys the inside of this thing. See down in there? See those little white stripes on the little things sticking up there? Well, those things are like metal. And those white stripe things, that's corrosion. So yes, this cap was bad as well. So that's just stuff you got to check. So not only was the rotor dirty and bad, but the cap as well. This is all part of giving your rig a tune-up. And obviously mine hadn't had one in quite a while. You just never know when you buy something from somebody. They just, you know, because he told me basically all I needed to do was check the brakes on it. Apparently this has been in here like this for quite some time. And it might have fried all my sensors. That's another thing. If you don't keep your spark plugs and your cap and your rotor, you know, keep them maintained and changed out, it can burn out the rest of your ignition system. Just so you guys know. If you don't believe me, ask Scotty Kelmer. He's like the biggest mechanic on the internet. He's probably one of the best around, and he will tell you the same thing. Keep your spark plugs and your cap and rotor maintained if your car has a cap and rotor, but all cars have spark plugs and you have to change them. Even though they're expensive, it's something you have to do because you're going to have to fix the whole ignition system, which could cost you in the hundreds, if even the thousands, especially on a newer car. So yeah, that's my little word of warning to you guys. Okay, in case you were wondering, I like to use Blue Streak by standard when it comes to cap and rotor, if I can find them. For any time I've ever done this, this is all I've ever bought. They seem to work out pretty good for me, and yeah, like I said, I've only had to do it a few times in my life, but I've never had any problems with this brand right here, and you can get it at most auto parts stores. So yeah, just a heads up, if you have to do this kind of job, these are the ones that I like to use. Okay, so you guys saw me start it up, and it sounded really good actually, probably smoother than ever, and it actually, for a van this old, it always sounded great. That's why a lot of the mechanics were pretty well, befuddled about it having its problems, even including my brother, who's very experienced in this. He just kept saying it sounds really nice and smooth. Well, it's even better now, which is, and even quieter. So obviously it was having issues. Yeah, I'm gonna go drive it around and see what happens, but I'm sure that it's gonna be okay. I've replaced caps and rotors before, like I said, and usually it makes the car or van or truck or whatever run like 1,000% better, even if they're not as corroded and messed up as this one was. So I have confidence, since I put it back together the right way, that it's going to be just fine. And yeah, so we will see, but I have to run some errands and stuff and then come back, and I'll let you guys know. All right, you guys, so far so good. I've been driving the van around town and it's doing really well, but like before, I'm not counting on it. I'll replace something and it does good for a day or two, and then it'll go back to its old routine of dying on me and all kinds of weird stuff. So we'll see. But what I am doing to it isn't hurting it, and in fact is probably good for it. So it's just regular maintenance stuff that everybody should be doing to their vehicle anyway. Hopefully you guys have a little bit more confidence. If you see me out here, a person that doesn't do car stuff, that doesn't work on cars, actually, like, you know, doing routine maintenance to my vehicle, I'm hoping that maybe it'll give you guys a little bit of inspiration to, I don't know, maybe try to tackle some of this stuff on your own too. There are a lot of things that I can't do physically, and because I just don't have the skill or the tools, but things that are simple like a cap and rotor and spark plugs and things like that, just about anybody can do if you have the right tools. And so I just wanted to put that out there for you guys, and maybe, you know, some ladies out there who feel like one of the reasons why they're not going into van life is because they can't take care of their vehicle. That's just simply not true. There are a lot of things that ladies can do. We're not as strong as the guys, and we don't have all the cool tools and all the skill sets that they do, but there are still a lot of things that we can do to help keep our vans on the road. And the more familiar we become with our vehicles, the better, so that we will know if there's something wrong before it gets too bad, and or if there is something wrong, we'll be able to help, you know, guide the mechanic into the right spot, especially if we have an older vehicle. I've been able to do that. I've been able to help diagnose, which has helped a lot. It's helped tremendously. It's helped me to save a lot of money. And it's also, you know, kept my van on the road for a lot longer. So yeah, hopefully you guys, that gives you a little bit of inspiration. That's about all I can do, because like I say, I'm not a mechanic, but at least, you know, I try. So there you go, guys. If you like what you saw, please subscribe and do all that good YouTube stuff, and check out my video descriptions, because I have all kinds of, you know, little goodies and tidbits in there. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you later. All right, bye.